Hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault, and it's Adrian Chenault, my little boy. How are you, little boy blue?
I'm tremendous. How are you?
Never better. We are excited. We have got the Zoleckis today, and
What's
these are a
up?
couple of my favorite people, and I've known them a long time, and we're going to talk about that right out of the gate. Guess what today is?
What?
Tony's 15-year sobriety.
No way.
Yep.
Isn't that awesome?
This was divine intervention that you guys got to be on the show today. That is so cool.
I know. I text Tom. I'm like, dude, you won't even believe it because it popped up in my Facebook memories. And I don't know how we would have forgot today, but it was really early. And then I was like, oh my God, Tom, this is his sobriety date. And we're doing the show. How crazy is this?
So I love network marketing, Tom, but that time we met in 2010 in Newport Beach, California, you saved my life. Now I did the work, right? I had to go and make it happen.
Yeah.
But thank you for everything you did to get me to see I could do the work.
What is so crazy about that, though, is it wasn't me. It wasn't you. Your wife grabbed me and said, Tom, you have got to talk to Tony. And I go, why? She goes, because he's a blithering drunk. He's right over there. And so that's how it all started. She should get full credit. And the woman loves you so much. And it's so beautiful. And it's so great to be a part. And I talk to so many people that are going to get sober but never do. And you are a walking, talking miracle. And I'm telling you, it was the toughest thing I ever did. It's the toughest thing I ever do. Over the last 12 months, you guys know I have had some drama and trauma and grief. And the temptation to drink along that path has always been completely in the forefront, but not as big as God and my sobriety is. And it was not that tough to not drink. But to be around you and celebrating you guys' brand new life. You've come back from the dead again. You came back from the dead 15 years ago, and you're coming back from the dead like right this minute. So we're going to have some fun today, don't you think?
We totally are. And man, I'm so like, I just think that's so beautiful that today is the day.
Yeah. So here we go. So how old are the kids now?
12 and 10.
You're kidding me. That is also, they were a twinkle in your eye, actually, if we do the math.
Exactly. Yeah, they weren't even around yet.
Yeah, not even a twinkle. And that was Bill Gans and Doris Wood's event. And I went there with Steve Wallach and Sanjeev Javia and ran into you guys. And we had some fun. And then I introduced you to that lunatic Joe Cowell, who was a character in his own right, a sober guy who I think he's died. I think he finally died. But unbelievable life we've had. And I just wrote an article for the A&M, for Business for Home, about my love of the ANMP. So nobody's read it yet, but it's epic. And it basically talks about that whole run of the cards through the ANMP, through the DRA, which is the Distributor Rights Association, and all the old pioneers that nobody really remembers and acknowledges anymore, that truly deserve that recognition and that remembering, because without those people, we wouldn't have been here. And Glenn Turner, people like that, I am so excited to have you guys on. And so let's take it away. What a hand grenade went off for you last month, and what a job you two have done of reinventing yourself with the help of so many unbelievable network marketers in a true moneyed network marketing bank, which is Brian McMullen and that crowd. I mean, I am so happy because everybody's familiar with the space. You guys are going to walk into this thing and crush it, I am sure. And I'm happy and proud of you that you didn't take some bait from someplace else and make yet another wrong turn. So this is very exciting. And talk to us about it.
Well, I don't even know where to start. It was like 4 weeks ago, right? Last Friday. Yeah. I was sitting here when I got the phone call, and Tony was in Kansas City. So we weren't even together, Tom, when everything happened. So can you imagine, you build your spouse and you're 1,500 miles away, your company completely closes, and you're like the communication breakdown. It was so crazy. And, I don't know. It just didn't seem, it wasn't real, obviously. But I will tell you, the one thing that I always remember Eric Worre always telling us is he's like, don't forget, you're the asset.
Yeah.
Don't forget, at the end of the day, if you have the skills, you can go anywhere. And so I think like for me, I almost kind of went into I did, because it was just me here, because Tony was at a soccer championship on the field. I mean, it was crazy. So I'm like, well, I got to go boots to the ground. Like I got to start, doing some homework and researching and digging around. And obviously being in the space, like, you kind of know right away, you have that stuff. You're like, no, I already know, but then there were some of them that, I mean, my phone, I mean, I probably got 20 calls from, different CEOs, and get on the Zooms. And, it was so overwhelming. But I will tell you, at the same time, it's like, I feel like my mama bear instincts went off, where I really went into like, I just got to protect the team. Like, that's all I cared about, is like, what do I got to do to just like get these guys a home? Because again, not only did our company shut down, but they didn't pay us. Like, it's so pitiful. I mean, there's like, I don't even know how much is out. What was the amount?
About $4 million in commissions.
About $4 million.
You're kidding me.
No.
That's just sickening.
So then for you, right, as a leader, you're just like, oh my gosh, I gotta help these guys find a place, because they need to make money. So a lot of them, it's their livelihood, So, so there's so many good companies out there though, right, Tom? I mean, I think that's a hard part, is that there's so many good ones out there. And it's like, how do you know what fits for you, right? You might like a comp plan, but you don't like product. You might like leadership, but you don't like product, or whatever. It's just really kind of like, when you kind of know, right, at the end of the day. And I just didn't know none of it just hit, just nothing. And, at that time, some of our team was kind of going to different places. And, I think for us, we just wanted to make sure that people found good homes. So we felt I was okay with that. Because again, at the end of the day, I know that I have skills, and we know that we can build. So it's like, some of them we just bless and release, because we're like, just go, you know what I mean? Just go, like, please, 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 But at the end of the day, like, it was still so hard to decide. And you guys know, like, being in the profession, it's like, we talk about, when you can't make a decision and you're in indecision, it is such a mind screw with you, because it's so foggy. You don't know what to do. Like, I was to the point where I was just like, literally, I felt like I was getting so sick, like mentally, like everything, Tom. Like, it was just like, it was so heavy, like the responsibility of tens of thousands of people. I mean, it was just like, it was so much. And then Tony called me, and he's like, hey. I'm like, yeah, like, like, he's like, probably I mean, I'm exhausted, right? I love Tony, but he's like probably sitting on the soccer field going, oh, we got a goal, Granted, he was on the phone a lot too, right? But I'm just like zoomed out, stressed out. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so bananas. And he's like, hey, so I was talking with, John Melton. I was talking with, Brian. I'm talking with, Tim. And it's like, what do you think about like starting our own deal? And I'm like, starting our own deal? Like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, I wasn't sold. Like, I really wasn't sold. I was like, whatever. Like, I gotta go. You know what I mean? I was just in the thick of it with everybody. And a couple hours later, and it was just so tough. Mind you, we hadn't even, at that point, it was 24 hours, but you guys know so much happens in 24 hours in network marketing.
Yeah.
And then I just was like, he called me back, and we hadn't made a decision yet. And he's like, all he said to me, Tom, that's all he said. He said, babe. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, we got this. That's it. And I said, okay. All right, let's do this. And it was do this like what? It was like nothing. It was like a blank piece of paper. You know what I mean? And so we're like, all right, let's do it. And that's when I made the decision. And it was like that, like everything cleared. It was crazy in my mind. And here we are 4 weeks later. Just why?
A tremendous amount of people signed up, and people are literally locked in and ready for the next move. And I've been in your situation before, and going slow is bad and going too fast is bad.
Yeah.
And so you guys were stuck between a rock and a hard spot. And what I heard you say was brilliant. Some of these leaders are not going to stay with you, and you've got to hug them and wish them well, because they're going to go kiss a frog and it may or may not turn into a princess, and you want them to come back to you anyway.
Yeah.
Constantly taking the high road and not throwing shade, especially when people, oh, I can't believe you didn't see this coming. Troy Dooley, I'll never forget it, man. On the air, said Tom Chenault should have seen the Titanic hitting the iceberg and turned it. And I went, you've got to be kidding me. Number one, you can't turn the Titanic. And number two, it didn't even have the steering wheel. And I already felt bad enough having taken all those people off the cliff. And, you're waking up going, how come I didn't know? How come I didn't see this? I just now see a sign. I mean, second guessing all your decisions is so hard, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, I think, I think the thing that I'm probably the most proud of though, through all of it, Tom, is the fact that the personal development piece of network marketing is so important, just emotional maturity, what you learn through the years of just experience. Like for us, I do feel that, for whatever reason, I know my reasons, but I feel that there's so much goodness that's happening right now, and so many conversations and so many people so fired up about what we're doing, is because I did bless and release our whole team, literally.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere, and they know. Some of them you might even be watching right now. They know that we love them. We're cheering them on. Like I'm like celebrating them on their company's posts. Why? Because they're still my freaking friends. You know what I mean? Like I'm loving on everyone's stuff. Like, and everyone's, and I will tell you though, it's a weird dynamic. Like, because, I've told some of my close girlfriends, like, I'm really happy when I see this stuff on social. And then at the same time, you're sad. It is really mentally weird, because you're just sad because you're at a different chapter now. Right. And you're not necessarily working with them side by side, but at the same time, I'm so happy because things are going well and they found a place and they're doing their thing and they're making money and all of that good stuff. Right. So, we just had so much peace about that, because I don't know, maybe we were just a stepping stone for them. And I'm like, gosh, we're so grateful that we were even just that.
Yeah.
In their life,
Nobody knows. I mean, nobody knows if your new deal is going to fly.
Right.
But I'll tell you one thing right now, you put some serious work into the management team you put in place, the ownership I am in love with. I've known Brian McMullen for a very, very long time. I know his integrity. I know what he wants to do. And I was on a board meeting for the ANMP this morning, and he's a member of that. And it's just refreshing to see you guys not walking into the jaws of another billionaire or another smokescreen or another fast money deal to get you out of the trap. What you chose was the hard, better road, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's built by network marketers for network marketers, Tom. Yeah. And as crazy as that day was over a month ago, the next day, this big door opened up 1,000 times bigger than our last company was ever going to be. Mm-hmm. And now we're walking through it. And like Sarah talked about, you learn the skills over 30 years. You learn leadership. You learn relationships. You understand how to do things and grow things and create business and create culture and do the things that it takes to win here in network marketing. And you do it with the right people. And I think for Sarah and I, we're so excited that we get to build this with the people that are coming into our life right now that we've always wanted to work with. And for whatever reason, they were never going to do our last business, for whatever reason. But now they're like, I'm in. I'm like, you're into what? You're into what? But they're like, no, I'm going with you on this one. And I was just like, so the people that are coming, it's what Sarah said, because we did it the right way. And that's how we roll. People say, man, you got great integrity and great values. And
I'm like, but shouldn't you?
Yeah. I'm just like, well, that's how the Z's roll. And I believe, and I learned this a long time ago, and we talked about this, Tom, is, whatever you put out there, it's always coming back to you. And when you put out greatness and you put out, true intention to really help people, bless people, give them a path to run on, whether they're in your business or any other business out there, network marketing, outside of network marketing, that will come back to you somehow, some way. And that's what we're feeling right now.
So the car wreck, terrible deal for me. The suicide of my sister-in-law, terrible deal for me. I learned so much about trauma that made me a better man, and about grief that made me a better man, that I'm standing here a lot better man than I was last year. And you guys had the craziest year before this hand grenade happened. I want you to think back of the other crazy stuff that happened inside of your company that tested your mettle, that said, why is this happening to us? And it was probably happening to you to get you ready for what did happen, so you would learn from that how not to be when this came along. And those lessons are going to make this company and you two much better human beings to change more lives in the future. Isn't that a great way to look at it?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I even think about, like, you were just talking about grief and trauma. Tony's sister passed away. What was that now? 2 years
ago? A little
ago?
over 2 years ago. Yeah.
But, you talk about the grief and stuff, like Tom, like he can relate to a lot of it, and I can, but I know he can even more so. Right. And, I just think about, I think for us, like our biggest thing with that is we're just like, man, life is so short. You know what I mean? And so it just helped us work on things like not holding grudges and working through things and not being afraid to have confrontation and not being afraid to handle things right away. And, saying things when they're on your mind and learning how to be a better friend and communicate more. And, you know what I mean? Like we just learned how to be brave more, because you just don't ever know if you have another, you know what I mean? If you have another breath. So it's like, it's like even through that whole piece and also obviously navigating grief and like, since, walking through it, it's like when other people walk through grief, it's you having so much more compassion and understanding what that actually looks like and feels like, right? Because there's so many different things that happen, through that whole process.
And karma's such a bitch. I mean, it comes and gets you. And, you start thinking about your old company, and I'm like in that world of conversation and probably the world's biggest gossip. So I get to talk to everybody about what's going on and, the how to steal people from other companies' playbook and all that horse stuff, and how we're not a network marketing company and all that other horse stuff. And here we are standing in right now where you guys can proclaim that you're a network marketing company of the 2025. So you've got all kinds of components that weren't here 25 years ago because they weren't necessary, but they are today. But you people are tried and true network marketers and gonna be that. And we can, people can plant their flag knowing you're going to be in business without a hand grenade coming next week saying, guess what? We just changed our business model, Rodan and Fields, and you aren't that anymore. I love the fact that you've got a mission statement and a mission with a commission for the people, especially the little guy. And that's pretty much what you're up to, right?
100%. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, it's like, it's hard when you're in the field because sometimes they just don't see it as our perspective, right? So it's like, really understanding what are the levers that move people, what are the things that are that motivate the people. What, and I think too, we were owned by VC, right? So our private equity. So it's like, there was things that we questioned that were like, this seems weird. I mean, why is this happening? Why is this? And I think for us, it's just like, we never really knew, there was just so many question marks all the time that could never, ever get answered. And, karma is for sure. I mean, those guys are so greedy.
Yeah. And it ends up, and today, you've got a chance to rewrite history. And what we need is that. I mean, the ANMP convention that we're having in August is getting billed as the biggest, best thing that ever happened because it's a rebirth of the network marketing conversation because it needs rebirth. And, the article that we wrote, the one I wrote, I used Richard Brooke was on the cover of Success Magazine in 1992. And that was the birth of network marketing. And I swear, I think it's the rebirth right now, because we've got so many people going, oh, this thing's over. Network marketing is shot. Boom, boom, boom. You know, technology and apps and all that jazz. No offense. Are you know,
Shots fired.
They're the future. Sorry, sponsor. But at the end of the day, it isn't. The human connection, true human connection, the opposite of addiction, is true human connection. The definition of network marketing is true human connection. Would you? I keep hugging you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally.
That's what's so cool.
You know what's interesting? You said about the ANP, like the rebirth and all that stuff for network marketing. Like that's what our company name means in Spanish, is rebirth. That's why it was named that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm a genius.
You are just so smart.
All
A
right,
true
good.
linguist, I think.
A linguist is what I am. Okay, that is so cool.
So you've been walking through the fire over the last month. You're in one sense you're still in it. In one sense, you I think are already rising from the ashes in huge ways. And even as you're in it, I imagine you're already starting to kind of develop some perspective. And what are the things that have crystallized for you of like, these are the things that really matter? And what are some things that maybe have shown up for you that you go, you know what, that stuff doesn't actually matter at all?
Well, I think what keeps us going every day is just people, brand new people that have excitement, people that have a dream, people that want to make some extra money, people that want to build a little bit of a team, get some customers. They want to, be somebody. They want to feel seen and recognized. And, that's what keeps Sarah and I going every single day, is just like pouring into people. Like the impact part of it is what fires me up. People say, man, you get really excited, Tony, every day. It's like every day you got this passion, and it's because of brand new people, right? And sure, we love working with people every single day, but as they get better in this business and they do breakthroughs like, oh my gosh, Tony, I hit this rank, or I made this check, or man, I did this presentation, or wow, I did this on my own. And just to watch people just kind of spread their wings, and then, we get to you just help them be better every day. I think that's like our number one thing. And that's what's happened the last month here. It's like you watch people come into this and they're just like, holy cow, this feels so good. Like this community, this culture. And they're just like, let's keep going, And I'm like, well, yeah, we got a month in and we're going into month 2 now. So I think that's our passion, Adrian, is just really people. And, you got to fall in love with people. People is what, keeps you going, keeps you moving, keeps you growing, keeps you understanding, and I love that part.
So I don't know if everybody knows it, but Sarah's actually related to Eric Worre. And I think this is hysterical. God's got such a great sense of humor, because from Eric's stages forever, what's he said to all of us dinosaurs is, before you can go enroll people, you need to re-enroll yourself. Well, talk about God giving you guys a wake-up call. That's all you're doing right now, is re-enrolling yourself, which you did. You're back to work with your sleeves rolled up. You're doing exactly what got you to where you were in the first place, over and over and over again, with better skills. And what I'm trying to say here is there's so many people out there with big checks, and I'm talking to you, that should have imposter syndrome, because you rode somebody else's shoulders to where you are, thinking what happened to Tony and Sarah and Margie and Shiloh and John Melton and all these people couldn't happen to you because your company was so great. You are not your company. And I'm glad you love your company, but you better love yourself more and understand anything can happen. And what you can control is you and your destiny and your team. And what you're most proud of, I hope, because I was most proud of that, when that hand grenade hit, when that black swan hit the pond, what happened to me was people everywhere called and said, where are we going now? Mm-hmm. They were waiting for me to make a decision, because I was that leader. You guys are that leader, your whole crew. And I'm very, very proud of that for you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I think, to go back to Adrian, what you were talking about, like, what have we learned and what matters, what kind of doesn't matter. I think you know, what really matters, or I think maybe what gets me excited again
Mhm.
is the vision casting. You know,
Yeah.
I think that it's the, you know, back to like, I kind of fell in love. Like when I first got into network marketing, what I fell in love with was like the possibilities, right? That's why I signed up. I didn't sign up because of money. I didn't sign up because anything. I fell in love with like what could be. And I think I found that again here. You know, granted I had it, you know, at Modere 13 years ago in the beginning, but I think it's like now again, it's like it's the excitement of like what's possible, and it's like really like anything, you know, and I think that's what gets people fired up, and that's really for us, like, you know, I love casting that vision of like doing it together. And I will tell you what's a little bit different, I think, with what we're doing here is that because it is such a unique situation where, sure, would have been great to like, if we were deciding that we were going to start a company with all these amazing people and we kind of decided that, hey, we'll launch it in like 6 months or a year. Yes, that would have been ideal. Obviously, that we didn't have that choice, right? But I think what's so cool is that the reason that people are flocked to it with us is because they're like, you know, we don't have to talk about being part of a company. Like they really feel it because every day we're getting updates and we're giving them the updates. You know what I mean? Like they feel like it is really part of them. And people love that. It's exciting to them. It's something new, it's fresh. And people are like, oh my God, like they really feel like they also have their fingerprints on it because they do. Because it's like every day I'm like, hey guys, this is what's new, right? And like, and they feel that part of it, and they love that. You know, there's just something to be said for that community piece. I mean, that's automatically built in here because we're building it together, like for real time. You know what I mean? Like that's how it's working here.
And it's only going to get better. And I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking, you know, you're going to be at a startup for a while. I mean, probably 5 years.
Yeah.
And at that point, you'll shift into this club called legacy company wannabes, and finally you'll hit that nail. I believe you've got those kind of legs. And I'm really happy to watch companies like Shackley and these companies reinvent themselves too,
Yeah.
where they're coming back into the game. I see so much noise right now around Talk Fusion, and I think that guy's finally got it right. And what I'm happy about is people are excited about true network marketing, not the game show. And following leaders like the Zoleckis, like people that are dead serious about everybody having an equal chance, is what we are all about and what sets us apart from everybody. And again, going back to the ANMP call today, listening to Donna Johnson, you know, over there at Arbonne, you know, that she's been around that company forever too. And just seeing the gleam in her eye with an ancient company still alive. And then you've got Garrett and Sylvia with this deal they're in. And it's just, I think we're headed back toward a rebirth. And you guys are really, really at the point where people are able to watch you guys all get along and create something magic for everybody. And thank you for doing what you did.
Yeah, well, and you know, that to your point about A&MP, Tom, what you've always told me and how you do this event with so many incredible people is like everyone pushes everybody up in this profession. So you get into A&MP and you meet some of the most amazing leaders and people that are new for the first time. They're in this room and we're all learning together. We're sharing our best practices. Like no one's holding back. Everyone's giving their best info, from skill sets to promotions to what they're doing to grow their business. But I love A&MP because it really lifts this profession. And like you said earlier, Tom, there's room for everybody here. This is a rebirth for the whole profession, and that means everyone pushing everybody up. And that's why I'm so excited for this year at A&MP.
Another thing that happened, I keep talking about that, and I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about what we talk about on the board of directors, but hell with them. Another thing that we talked about was business for home, and the fact that it is in the hands of some new people now, and the entire emphasis is on positive news for this profession, because we've got a lot of people throwing absolute shade at us from within and also from without, from the exterior. And if you go to Business for Home, Al Bala wrote an unbelievable article that I want you to go read. because it's going to give you an idea of why you want to move mountains to get to Dallas in August. It's going to be like that. And Tony and Sarah and that whole crew are going to be front and center, because we are bringing back the good things about network marketing as well as embracing everything else. And oh, good, you put that up. Good boy. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That Adrian is a rock star. So
that he is.
It's super important, and I think, you know, more than ever, you're watching. I told you guys on a call recently, right? Like, I feel like there's like I feel like you guys are kind of having this like Avengers moment, right? Like, it's coming together. But I think that's even beyond any one company or whatever, right? Like, I think there's just this moment of like the people who really love this profession banding together. And, you know, the fact that you're talking about you're cheering people on that have gone to different companies. Like, it isn't about that. It isn't about any one company. It's about the health and the prosperity of this profession. And if everybody's winning, then what's not to love here? Like that's what we want to create.
Shout out to Stuart Johnson. I mean, did I mention I was on the board of directors call today? And we were talking about how much Stuart Johnson has gotten the companies talking to the distributors. You know, he's been that guy in the middle forever, but the guy is absolutely a rock star. You love him. He's just rock solid. And I think we're uniting, and I love that. And you guys are the test tube babies, and we want to see this thing turn into a full-fledged deal. So would you please?
We are. We're doing it.
That is awesome.
What are you
test tube babies?
Don't you love it when your son laughs at your jokes after 40 years? That's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, it's that's the name of the game. And I think if we can work together, if we can support each other and just model that kind of behavior. And one of the things that, you know, however people reacted to what the tidal wave that hit you guys a month ago was within their rights. And it was just incredibly beautiful to me to watch the graciousness with which you guys carried yourself and the gratitude that you carried yourself with through this thing in a time when you didn't have to, and where it would have been easy and nobody would have blamed you for taking pot shots and whatever else. But that isn't who you are, because I think in part because it's not who you are, and because in part because I think you know that that doesn't serve the mission you're on, and the mission is bigger than any of those feelings and stuff that you might have gone through. And so I just want to publicly thank you for that. But I really think it makes a difference in the way that that everybody's been able to move forward.
There's a little tech company out there there's only two major sponsors of the ANMP. One of them is Vita Divina and Armand, and the second one is Justin, Adrian, and Nowsight. And talk a little bit about how what you guys are doing complements the high touch part of network marketing.
Totally. You know, I think
because these guys are familiar with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I just think that there's such a need for helping that person who maybe hasn't, spent 10 years honing their communication skills and hasn't figured out the right thing to say in every scenario. And, they've encountered a culture that they love. They've encountered a product that they love. They've encountered a vision that they love. They want to create something more for themselves. And that sort of comes into this like crashing collision with, I don't have the skills yet. And what I think, what excites me is to say, hey, your heart is in the right place. You just don't know what to say yet. You don't have the skills yet. And what if we put a tool in your hand that makes it really easy for you to say the right thing and to know what to do, and to always, to have someone that you can ask questions to 24/7 and get the right answer and know the next right thing to do every step of the way. And that's in service of helping that person who has a lot of excitement, has a lot of ambition, but doesn't have the skills yet, to not just run headfirst into a brick wall because they're so excited, which we all know has happened, or to completely freeze in fear, which is the other thing that happens. We really want to help people to overcome that. And so that's really a huge part of what Nowsight is about, is helping the network marketer to sound truly like themselves, but to overcome whatever sort of fear of saying the wrong thing might come up.
we're winning this thing. You guys are going to win this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't, a lot of you are legends on network marketing and watching this show, and I want to thank you for that. And one thing that you do get when you are on this show is a very invaluable gift. And that is a fire your brain, hire your heart, or love like crazy, then love more. I'll probably send Tony a I Love Misfits t-shirt because we're fellow misfits. But at the end of the day, if you do want to buy one of these unbelievable shirts instead of you mooch one off of us for being on the show, all you got to do is go to swag.contactmapping.com. Yeah. So I don't know how to do any. Oh, another thing that happened to me, I have to tell you this. So I got interviewed by a magazine the other day, and they called me a social media guru. I can't spell any of the words, but they'd gone and looked at my stuff and all the people that like it and how many followers. I had not the heart to tell them I don't even know how to spell it. I just do his deal, and that's all that happens. And now I'm a guru. So I'm pretty happy about that. I didn't even tell you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. But how do we help you guys? How do people get a hold of you? How do people find out more about what you're doing? How do they find out more about Tony and Sarah? Where do you want them to find you?
Probably just social media. I mean, probably either Instagram or Facebook. I mean, we're pretty active on it right now.
Or they can,
we're pretty busy.
Or they can go to sarahandtony.com as well. And that's our website. They can take a look at that. But we're really active on Facebook and Instagram. Shoot us a DM, introduce yourself, tell us your story, let us connect with you, and just let us pour into you and vice versa. It'd be really cool to do that with you.
So you went broke over at Modere, but I have to tell you how absolutely sickeningly jealous I was when you were in Greece with the flowing dresses and all this stuff. And I'm going, how on earth are these companies in this day and age affording to send you guys on these trips that were unbelievable? And the fact of the matter is they couldn't afford it, and it cost them their company. But I just need you to know how jealous I was of you guys traveling the world. And about half of you would send me little text messages and postcards. Wish you were here, Tom. And so it was unbelievable. So
you would have never done that photo shoot with Denise. Like, if you really knew what we had to do, Tony is deathly afraid of heights. I wish someone would have filmed that because it was so epic. We were actually on the roofs in Santorini. We were not supposed to be on there. This photographer that was doing, he goes, "Hey, get on this roof," and then he kept telling Tony, "Get closer to the edge, closer to the edge." I mean, this was so high up, it was crazy. Tony was so scared, but also he didn't want to say no, so he's like, "Okay." He was sweating, he was so nervous, and then these people come out and they're yelling at us, "Get off my roof!" So then we're like, "Dude, you told us to get on the roof," and he goes, "Oh, well, we don't have permission to do any of this. This is how I get the good photos." I'm like, "Oh my God." And so it was just so crazy, those pictures.
The things you'll do for your wife. I'll tell you, I'm on these houses in Greece, and I'm 2 feet away from falling to my death and ending my life on this earth, right? And I'm there and I'm just shaking in my boots, right, so to speak. And I'm taking these pictures and I'm just like, get me off these roofs. Yeah. But I did it for you, babe.
Yeah. Did they not turn out, Tom?
It was unbelievable. But aren't you happy that he wasn't drinking the stupid juice? Because he,
oh my gosh, long gone. That wouldn't have turned out too well, Tom. You know that one.
Yeah.
For those who got on late, Tony's got 15 years sobriety today. It's just such an. Well, how about your little kids? They've never seen their dad drink.
Yeah.
When they saw you go through some terrible stuff with your sister, I don't know that I've ever been around anybody more heartbroken for a long time than you. And I love you for your courage and not picking up through all that. But all of you can do it. If you ever want to figure out how to get loose from that absolute anvil or piano on your shoulders, find Tony or me. We will help you.
Yeah, and, shoot me a message, and it'll stay private, but shoot me a message. I'd love to have a conversation with you if you're going through some stuff and struggling.
Being a drunk is overrated. Do we know who next week's guest is?
I'll tell you in 1 second.
We never know.
Peter Mingles.
Oh, Peter Mingles. So you guys don't, he is a character. You want to talk about a ranter and somebody that is mad at all the anti-MLM people and stuff like that. Peter Mingles was on the board of the directors of the ANMP many, many years ago. and ended up getting hooked up with some bad people and ended up kind of kicked off the island a little bit. But he hasn't gone away. He just went a different direction. But man, he will have an opinion. You want to watch the show next week. I can hardly wait to see all my text messages from my friends asking me why I've got him on. And I am having him on because I think his heart's in the right spot. I think he's a good guy, and it's going to be fun. So you guys, your t-shirt's on the way. We love you with all of our heart. Hug those kids. Good luck with your company, and bang, bang. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
See you, everybody.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.